Hello there. In this video we're going to look at factorisation. Now, I'm assuming that you can do factorisation such as this, where you have a quadratic. Now, quadratic is any expression where you have x squared. Now, just a reminder how we factorise those. Factorisation means you have two brackets. Excuse me. In each bracket we have to have x, because when we multiply out these two brackets we want to get x squared. Now we need two numbers that multiply together to give us minus 14 and add together to give us plus 5. Plus 5 being the number in front of x when I expand and simplify. Minus 14, so there have to be different signs. So when I multiply them, one has to be a plus and one has to be a minus. Now I need two numbers that multiply together to give me minus 14, add together to give me plus 5. Well, the answer is plus 7 and minus 2. And that's how we factorise it. And if I was to expand that, I would get x squared, I'd get plus 5x, and I'd get the minus 14. But there's another type of factorisation in which you only have two terms, x squared minus 16. Now, if we look carefully, we see that both these terms are square terms. 16 is a square number, and x squared obviously is a squared term. So to factorise this, again we use two brackets, but the technique here is quite simple. What's the square root of 16? It's 4. So 4 goes into each of those, and because there's no middle term, one bracket has a plus, one has a minus. Because if I expanded that, I'd get x squared, I'd get minus 16, then I'd get plus 4x, and I'd get minus 4x, and the middle terms disappear. We can take that one step further. Sometimes the coefficient of the first term, generally in x squared, is also itself a square number. Here we go. We're going to factorise 4x squared minus 25. So we write down two brackets. What's the square root of 4x squared? Well, it's 2x, so I have 2x in each bracket. What's the square root of 25? It's 5, and because there's a minus in between, these have to be different. And because they're identical, save for the different signs, the middle term disappears. I'll just go through that once more, because it's quite an important technique. 9x squared. Here we go, just look an even more complex one. Minus 4y squared. Both these terms are square. So to factorise it, I find the square root of each of those two terms. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. So that goes into both brackets. And the square root of 4y squared is 2y. And then I put a different symbol, a plus in one and a minus in the other. Doesn't matter whether you put the minus there and the plus there. Right, now let's try and keep this brief. Let's look at the more complex ones, the grade A ones. Here we go. Question 5. Now, why are they more complex? They're more complex because you have a number in front of x squared. Let's just see if, oh, here we go. Just bear with me 1 second. Because I can't create these from the top of my head, I'll have to take them from the textbook. Here we go. 2x squared plus 5x squared, 5x, my mistake, plus 3. Now, factorisation involves brackets. There are two brackets. Now, the first term is going to have be 2x in one bracket and x in the other. Now, at GCSE, most of the time, the number in front of x squared, the coefficient, is going to be a prime number. And I think you'll find it good practice to always put the highest factor in the first bracket. Now, let's have a look at the rest of this. I need two numbers that multiply together to give me plus 3, but when I expand the bracket, I get plus 5. Now, if we look carefully at the symbols here, I've got a plus is my in front of the 3, the last term, and a plus here. This plus tells me that both the symbols in the brackets are the same. This symbol, being a plus, tells me that both are plus. Now the hard work. What whole numbers multiply together give me 3? 3 and 1, and 1 and 3. Fortunately, it's a prime number. Now let's experiment. What would I get if I put a 3 in here and a 1 in here? Well, when I multiply it out, I get 2x squared. That's 2x times x. I get plus 3 times 1. Yeah, I knew I was going to get that. Now, what about the middle term? Well, you get 2x times 1, plus 1 is plus 2x, and then plus 3 times x is plus 3x. Add those together, plus 5x. Well, that was simpler than the next one because both the symbols are plus. Now, look how complex it can become. Here we go, 11x squared minus 13x plus 2. Right, so I draw my two brackets. Again, the coefficient, the number in front of x squared, is a prime number, so I'll put 11 there, 11x, and x here. And when I multiply out, I'm going to get my 11x squared. Now, let's look at the last term. It's called the constant term. It's plus 2. Fortunately for me, there's only two factors, 2 and 1, 1 and 2. Or is there? Let's look at the symbols and the clues they provide. This symbol here, being plus, tells me that both are the same. This one here, being minus, tells me both are minus. That's handy now, because what can I put in the brackets? I could put minus 2 in the first and minus 1 in the second, or minus 1 in the first and minus 2 in the second. Because the numbers in front of x are different, the order does matter. Well, here's one approach. Let's put minus 2 in the first and minus 1 in the second. Does that give me minus 13x when I multiply it out? Well, let's have a look. Here's top and tailing. So when I multiply it out, you get 11x times x, 11x squared. You get 11x times minus 1, minus 11x. You get minus 2 times x, which is minus 2x. And you get minus 2 times minus 1 plus 2. And yes, these here combine to give me minus 13x. I got lucky there. Right, I'll just try one more. And here we go. Sorry, what question number was that? The old memories going. That was question 6. We're going to finish with question 7. 5x squared minus 39x minus 8. Two brackets. The coefficient of x squared, this here is 5, it's a prime number, so I'll put 5 in the first bracket and x in the second. Now, let's have a look at these symbols. Minus sign here tells me they're going to be different. This symbol doesn't help me. When this one's minus, I know that both are different. Now let's look at all the numbers that multiply together to give me minus 8. Hang on, just pause this. Now, let's look at those factors again. Sorry about the interruption. And remember that order is important. I could have minus 1 and plus 8. Or I could have plus 1 and minus 8. So that's two possibilities. Or I could have minus 2 and plus 4, or plus 2 and minus 4. But as I said, the order is important. So let's look at the beginning here. I could, of course, have plus 8 and minus 1, or minus 8 and plus 1. Hang on. Or, of course, I could have plus 4, minus 2, minus 4, plus 2. Now, look, in the exam conditions, you've got 8 different possibilities there. It's going to take forever. So let's box clever. We want the middle term to be minus 39. So I need a biggish number here. Okay, 39 is close to 40, isn't it? So let's try an 8 in here. I also want it to be minus. So I need the minus in front of that so that when I multiply it out, 5x times minus 8 gives me minus 40. And then, hang on, it's now falling into place. If I add 1 to minus 40, I get minus 39. So it's plus 1 there. Okay, now if you think about it, if I work my way systematically through it, well, I'd have got lucky here, wouldn't I? But, you know, that isn't always going to be the case. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope this video makes some sense. Sorry about the interruptions.